Whether developing nations such as India should choose the option of participative government or strong leaders is a question that we will explore in this short video. The popular perception may well be that participative government is indecisive and inefficient, while strong leadership offers more efficient decision-making, even if it implies some steamrolling of opposing viewpoints. What exactly do we want from good governance? We've identified three things. First, an increasing length of life. Secondly, an increasing quality of life. Thirdly, an increasing ability or resources to access the quality of life. However, to do a quantitative assessment, we need to identify credible indicators that help us to quantify increasing length of life, quality of life, and resources to access the quality of life. We will limit ourselves to the indicators provided by the Gapminder database at gapminder.org. For an increasing length of life, the indicator we expect to use is life expectancy figures from the Gapminder database. Life expectancy is the average number of years a child would live if current patterns of mortality were to be maintained. For an increasing quality of life, we will use the United Nations Human Development Index, which rates countries on the levels of health, education, and living standards. For increasing resources to access the quality of life, we use the income per person as an indicator. Income per person is the total GDP divided by the population. To ensure that this can be compared across time, income per person is converted into $2,005. And to ensure that income per person is comparable across countries, the idea of purchasing power parity is used. Slide 6. In order to work with these indicators, some graphical tool has to be used. We have chosen to work with the Gapminder tool, which is available at gapminder.org. This tool helps us to see relations between two indicators over a period of time. The Gapminder tool shows one indicator increasing on the vertical axis. Here you are seeing the Human Development Index, which is represented as a linear graph, which means that equal distances on the scale imply equal differences in HDI scores. On the horizontal axis, we are displaying the income per person. This, however, is being shown on a log scale. This means that the gap between $2,000 and $3,000 is the same gap between $20,000 and $30,000 on the scale. This allows us to show the small number of wealthy countries squished up together, while the larger number of poor countries can be spread over a wide area. The colored circles in the center represent the countries. The color of the circles represents a region which can be correlated with a map of the world at the top right-hand corner. The diameter of the circles represents the population of the country. The number 1980 in light grey letters indicates a year for which this information is. Finally, we can animate this display for different years, as you can see here. Here we see the relationship between the Human Development Index for each country and its income per person. That relationship is illustrated by a straight line, and a very large percentage of countries either fall on that line or are not very far away from it. This line has been calculated to represent the best fit line. It appears that this relationship is linear. This means we can derive a simple equation so that one knows the IPP of a country, then it's possible to calculate a reasonably accurate estimate of what its Human Development Index would be. This also means that the income per person decides to a certain extent what your Human Development Index is. Clearly, there are a few countries that fall to the left of the line, and quite a few countries that fall to the right. If we look at the countries that fall far to the right of the line, it seems they lie on the line of their own, which is almost parallel to the dashed grey line. It's likely, therefore, that there are a different class of nations. If we take Equatorial Guinea, we can see that while its HDI is actually about 0.54, it should, according to the dashed grey line, have an HDI of about 0.76, that is, substantially higher. The same is true of the other nations on the slide as well. A quick glance indicates that some are recognizably authoritarian states, such as Qatar, which is ruled by an emir, and Sudan, of Darfur fame. The Economist Intelligence Unit's 2011 Democracy Index, which categorizes democracies into 4 categories, has cited each of these nations as authoritarian. It would appear, therefore, that a democracy where citizens are engaged in the democratic process is a necessary condition to achieve the best bang for your IPP dollar. In the paper that is available for free download at www.agem.in/pdf/democracy.pdf, you'll find much more detail and more evidence to support the contentions that we have got an inkling of here. That is, authoritarianism in government is unlikely to help us achieve our objectives of an increasing length of life, as indicated by life expectancy figures, increasing quality of life, as indicated by the Human Development Index, and increasing ability to access the quality of life, as indicated by income per person. Having quickly reviewed the international perspective, we can now consider the Indian historical perspective. As the United Nations Human Development Index is only available for about a decade, we have chosen to compare life expectancy in India with income per person from 1800 onwards. What we see here is a graph of India's progress from 1800 to 2012. There are some interesting instances where this relationship seems to have undergone a sudden change in trend, which we will call an inflection point. We have marked out 5 periods where inflection points are apparent. We also see that period 4, India seems to have made a sudden change in trend that denotes a particular relationship that is also true of the majority of countries in 2012. In effect, one could draw another best fit line here, and India seems to have turned to that line in period 4. This means that we joined the world trend of development in 1970. If you found this of interest, I would urge you to download the paper at www.agem.in/pdf/democracy.pdf to find out what happened in India and also to learn more about the international perspective.